The Kansas City Alias, The Mystery of Room 1046 and Artemus Ogletree, Part 2, Further Discussion. Welcome back to Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Nicoll of Nicoll Investigations. And today we're stepping outside of Ontario, across the border, and back in time to one of the most perplexing and haunting mysteries in American criminal history. It's a story so bizarre, so full of unanswered questions, that has captivated amateur sleuths and professional investigators for nearly 90 years. We're talking about the murder of a man known only as Roland T. Owen, found in room 1046 of the Hotel President in Kansas City, Missouri, back in 1935. In Part 1, we detailed all the details of the crime, the investigation, and the numerous strange interactions. Today in Part 2, I would like to share with you some information I discovered when reading through the police files on this mysterious case. Perhaps you can help solve this. First of all, some questions. Number 1, why would Ogletree or Owen need to use false names? Number 2, was it even Owen in the room when the maid and bellboys went up? Seems he did talk to the maid, so it's likely she got a bit of a look at him. But how well did the bellboys see him? Number 3, why insist on a room with no windows? The following is directly from the police files. Mother's typewritten letter to Mr. Ira Johnson. Number 1, between the St. Regis Hotel and the President Hotel, Ogletree was supposed to be staying in an apartment with 2 boys, according to his mother's correspondence to a Mr. Ira Johnson, believed to be connected to the police. Who were the boys? Were they ever identified by the police? Number 2, at the same time, according to the same letter, Ogletree was supposed to have met a girl. His mother said he never said who she was. Was she ever identified? Number 3, from the same letter, his mother says Ogletree was given money to buy new clothes by his boss. Who was this boss, and where did he work? His mother didn't know what kind of work he was doing, but said Ogletree mentioned he was working at a bond company, making $55 per week. Note, according to the letter Ogletree's mother wrote on January 4th, 1940, they never did work for a bonding company. This was only a front they put up. Number 4, from the same letter, his mother questioned why Ogletree would need new clothes, since he left Birmingham with clothes. 2 suits, 2 coats, shoes, and a hat. So why the clothes, and where were they when he checked into the President Hotel, since only he had a comb and toothbrush, as noted by the bellboy who took him to his room? Number 5, according to the letter, the call detailing Ogletree was in Cairo, Egypt, August 18, 1935, came from a Godfrey Jordan. Was this Godfrey Jordan ever identified? She later felt the caller was actually Joe Simpson, who Ogletree had left Birmingham with, and who said the last time he saw Ogletree was in Los Angeles. She spoke to this man for 45 minutes. Number 6, during the Godfrey Jordan call, he informed Ogletree's mother that Ogletree had lost the thumb in his right hand. Did this injury actually occur? Surely it would be in the autopsy report, if true. It is not in the autopsy report. Number 7, from the same letter from his mother, she noted a Frank Young, a Birmingham boy visiting Los Angeles, met the 2 men that Ogletree was to drive to Kansas City with. He supposedly gave a description of the men to Chief Higgins in Kansas City. Were these men ever identified? Was Frank Young identified? Note, according to the letter Ogletree's mother wrote on January 4, 1940 about the meeting with Joe Simpson, Simpson wanted to know why Frank Young had been questioned by the FBI. She said, I thought Frank Young was a fine boy and given all he knew to the FBI. Mother's handwritten letter to Chief Higgins. Number 1, Ogletree's mother notes that Joe Simpson, the boy Ogletree left Birmingham with, drove 3 men from Washington, D.C. to Birmingham, Alabama, while Simpson was a driver for the Washington Cab Company. Was this ever confirmed? This would likely have been prior to September 15, 1937. Number 2, they stayed for several days, and it appears that Simpson, along with the men, then left on September 15. Number 3, seems more like Ogletree's mother was mad that Simpson did not come to see her, as promised, than anything else connected to the case. Joe Simpson's letter on November 5, 1936. Number 1, Simpson writes that, "I'm sure Ogletree wasn't into anything illegitimate." Why even write that? Number 2, Simpson also makes it a point to say, "P.S. Artemus and I left B. Ham alone. Only 2 of us." Why write this? Joe Simpson's letter of November 11, 1936. Number 1, Simpson notes he received a letter from Ogletree in July 1934, sent from Los Angeles to San Francisco. Simpson notes the letter gave an address in New York City. Was this address ever checked? Mother's letter to Sergeant Thomas E. Whitecotton in Missouri. Number 1, she seems reasonably convinced the person she talked to from Memphis, who she refers to as Godfrey Jordan, was indeed Joe Simpson. She also notes that the boy that Joe Simpson ran with in Birmingham, named Walter Irwin, was in a tuberculosis sanitarium. Irwin spent a year in Los Angeles TB Sanitarium. Irwin had a brother there named Bill Irwin, and she noted this Godfrey Jordan was supposed to have TB and was going to California. Was any of this investigated? Number 3, Ogletree's mother mentions Joe Simpson went to Phillips High School in Birmingham, I believe. Simpson said he went there in 1935. Phillips High School records show he entered in September 1934 and was withdrawn January 2nd, 1935. But wasn't Simpson supposed to be in Los Angeles or San Francisco in September 1934? Seems for sure he did not attend school in December 1934, but was in fact in school at least some of the time between September 1934 and late November 1934. As his mother stated, school started 3rd or 4th Monday of September. Mother's letter of January 4th, 1940. Joe Simpson admits he went to Kansas City as well, but that was in July or August of 1934. And Joe left Ogletree in Los Angeles. Number 2, she asked Joe about the shoes being stolen. He said they were mine and laughed. Ogletree wired home for money to get shoes, but the wire for money came from Kansas City, Missouri. So Joe was in Kansas City the same time as Ogletree, it seems. When was this money transfer exactly? Number 3, Joe Simpson's friend Bill Hogan was in the car during this talk between the Ogletrees and Joe Simpson. Why? Also, Bill corrected Joe when he misspoke. Again, why? Number 4, she asked Joe why Ogletree had written to Franklin Dennison, as this boy was Joe's friend and not Ogletree's. Who was Franklin Dennison? Number 5, Joe notes there were no girls or gambling, though they did go to the Crescent Club. Assume this club is in Los Angeles. Is there more information on that? Number 6, according to the letter Ogletree's mother wrote on January 4th, 1940, they never did work for a bonding company. This was only a front they put up. Number 7, this meeting on December 30th, 1939 was the very first time she ever saw Joe Simpson. Number 8, Ogletree was supposed to meet Simpson in San Francisco at the general delivery window. Number 9, according to the letter Ogletree's mother wrote on January 4th, 1940 about the meeting with Joe Simpson, Simpson wanted to know why Frank Young hadn't been questioned by the FBI. She said, "I thought Frank Young was a fine boy. He'd given all he knew to the FBI." Up next, more questions. Letter from Chief Higgins to the Chief of Police in New York City, dated August 8th, 1937. We have a letter from another man who stated that he had met Ogletree in Los Angeles, California, and that Ogletree had told this man that he, Ogletree, was making his living off of, allegedly, likely the word is some, queers. In other words, fooling with degenerates. On page 2, who was this man? Is the letter in the file. Letters from Artemus Ogletree to his mother and father. Number 1, mostly handwritten. Those were confirmed as being from Artemus. But the very last page, on page 14 of a typewritten letter from Chicago, is a small handwritten note in the bottom left corner reading, P.S. Don't worry about Artemus. Sorry to learn he is not coming home. Len. Was it ever determined who this Len was? Did the writing match any other correspondence? Number 2. Ogletree writes his mother, page 8 on the St. Regis stationery from Kansas City, Missouri. Of a fellow that I told you about that was going to open up a business and give me half interest in it, had definitely made up his mind to open in the spring. He's about the best friend I have. He has a big Cadillac, possibly a Roadster. We're going to possibly Excelsior Springs next Saturday in it. Made a lot of money in the stock market yesterday, the date is unknown, and invited me up and is going to pay all expenses. Was this man ever identified? This letter seems to be written just before Christmas of 1934. Number 3, letter dated page 9 of Monday, September 7, 1934, written on stationery of Young Men's Christian Association in Kansas City, Missouri. Notes Ogletree writes his mother that he is going to West Palm Beach, Florida for a new job with a millionaire here. Seemingly this millionaire lived in Kansas City, Missouri, who wants me to drive him there. He's going to pay all expenses and $25 for driving him and his wife there. He has a 16-cylinder Cadillac and a Stutz. The letter continues with, this man lives there, West Palm Beach, Florida. He's going to give me a job as chauffeur in there at $15 a week and room and board. Again, the same letter continues. There's a lawyer here that wants to go and drive for this man, but he said he didn't like him. Is this the same man mentioned in the letter sent closer to Christmas in 1934? Was this millionaire and his wife ever located? Who was the lawyer mentioned? Number 4. The typewritten letter apparently sent after Ogletree's death and from New York say, I drove Mr. Jordan's family here from Chicago. Could this be another reference to the phone caller from Memphis? Godfrey Jordan. Up next, the Homicide Report. Homicide Report. Number 1. According to this document, it appears the police knew Ogletree, then assumed to be Roland T. Owen. It also used the name Eugene K. Scott. Owen had said he left the nearby Muleback Hotel after one night due to their high rates and checked with that hotel's staff. No Roland T. Owen had checked in there, but staff recalled a man of Ogletree's appearance checking in under the name Eugene K. Scott, also giving Los Angeles as his address, and requesting a room on the interior of the building. Again, after investigating, the LAPD reported that there was no one by that name in their city. Number 2. In a letter to President Roosevelt from Ogletree's mother, asking for assistance, she lists her son as being 6 feet 2 inches tall, and about 190 pounds. Yet the homicide report lists him as 5 feet 11, 170 pounds. Likely it's just his mother guessing at height and certainly weight, but it should be noted, definitively identified by mother and scar noted. The police report dated February 18, 1940. Detectives checked hotels. the President Hotel, Muleback Hotel, and the St. Regis Hotel for Godfrey Jordan and Joe Simpson. Nothing was found. Also check the city directory from 1910 to 1939 and telephone directory for Kansas City, Missouri and Kansas City, Kansas, and were unable to find anyone by the name of Godfrey Jordan. Number 2. February 16, 1940, detectives interviewed Robert Alexander, a bellboy and elevator operator at the St. Regis Hotel, in regard to a Cadillac Roadster that Ogletree had been riding around in. Alexander did not remember any car of that description. Number 3. Robert Alexander gave the detective the name of garage attendant Carl Sandell, who was working for the Firestone Garage. He was not employed at this garage at this time, and the detectives were unable to locate him. The autopsy report. Number 1. Noted. Hands are clean. No signs except on the right thumb. There is a bluish discoloration of the skin. Was it ever determined what this bluish discoloration came from, or was caused by? Number 2. Noted. Hands are fairly soft. Do not have the appearance of a toiler. Nothing in any letters home indicated Ogletree was ever doing any manual labor, and this seems to confirm that. Now note, this is a complete opposite. The main newspaper report stating Ogletree had fought back, and his knuckles were skinned and bruised. Number 3. Noted, small irregular oval penetrating wound. Was the cause of this wound ever established? Number 4. Also, main newspaper articles mention Ogletree's left ear was cauliflowered, though there is no mention of this detail in the autopsy report. Interdepartment communication, newspaper reports. Number 1. The second column says, cleaned every personal belonging from the room. Detectives found only a label torn from a cheap necktie, a hairpin, an unsmoked cigarette, and a safety pin. A glass bore a woman's fingerprints. Number 2. This is where it is noted that 11 weeks after Ogletree's death, the caller ordered the undertakers not to bury Ogletree, then known only as Owen, in a pauper's grave. Bury him in Memorial Park Cemetery. I'll pay for it. The caller was questioned, but he said hurriedly that Owen hadn't played the game fair, and cheaters usually get what's coming to them. 2 days later, just as the caller promised, a letter arrived with money for the burial. Number 3. Noted in the second column. Detectives learned that other occupants of the hotel heard the sound of a woman's voice raised in Ogletree's quarters the night the wounds were inflicted. Note, no witness statements mention this. The closest is a statement from bellboy Casbier at 0525. He heard voices of men and women, but could not say what room they were coming from. Guessed Jean Owen in room 1048, the room right beside room 1046. Did note she heard lots of noise coming from men and women loudly talking, but there were at least 2 parties going on the 10th floor, in room 1055 and 10005. The Department of Police, City of Birmingham letter dated August 23, 1939 to Chief of Police in Kansas City, Missouri. Number 1. Mrs. L.E. Ogletree went to St. Louis, Missouri in 1937 and identified the victim of this murder from photograph and general description as that of her son. However, there is some possibility that she could have been wrong. That's actually written from the Chief of Police. However, there is some possibility that she could have been wrong. What's that all about? Number 2. The letter referenced here from Mrs. Ogletree notes her son has an octagon-shaped scar on his head that covers approximately a half of his head. Left side parts, hair deep on right side to cover scars from a burn. Number 3. The biggest standout that is wrong is that, as in Mrs. Ogletree's letter to the President of the United States, she states her son 6 feet 2 inches tall, while the autopsy report lists the victim as 5 feet 11 inches. Number 4. She also notes Artemus may have been going under an assumed name as he used the name of Duncan once before. Up next, the timeline at present the hotel. Timeline at present hotel. January 1st, 1935, 1320. Bellboy Randolph Porpst, or possibly Propst, was present at the desk when a man named Ronald S., easily mistaken between an S or a T in the registration card, registered. Porpst stated he spoke with the man on the way up to the room. Good language, black overcoat, neatly dressed. Told him about staying the night before at the Muleback Hotel the night before. Only had a black hairbrush, black comb, and toothpaste in his overcoat pockets. January 2nd, 1935. 12:01. Maid Mary Soptio went to room 1046 to clean. Door locked. Man unlocked door. She thought a lady was occupying the room. Did she mean someone else in the room, or just that it was rented to a lady? The man was sitting in the dark, put on his overcoat, and went into the washroom to comb his hair. He then told her not to lock the door because he was expecting a friend in a few minutes. He then left the room. This appears to be the time she observed the note on the writing desk, written with a pencil that read, "Dawn, I will be back in 15 minutes. Wait." 1600. Soptio went to room with towels. She found the mail lying across the bed with the room dark. January 3rd, 1935, 10:30. Maid Mary Soptio went to room 1046. Found man in rooms, sitting in room with lights off and shades drawn. She realized the man had been locked in the room from the outside. This is when she heard the man talking on the phone. "No, Dawn, I don't want to eat. I am not hungry. I just had breakfast." He then talked with Soptio about things, nothing out of the ordinary. 1600. Soptio went back to room 1046 about 4 o'clock in the afternoon to leave towels. She heard 2 men talking in a low tone of voice. Knocking on the door, she was answered by a man. He informed her they did not need any towels. She felt it was strange since she did not leave any towels earlier in the day. 1800. Gene Owen arrives in Kansas City earlier in the day and after shopping goes to the present hotel. 1837. Gene Owen registers at the present hotel and is given room 1048. 1850. Gene Owen calls her friend Joe Reinhardt to tell him she is in room 1048. 2000 hours. Gene Owen, after eating at the drugstore of the present hotel, and sat in the lobby until about 8 o'clock p.m. 2100 hours. Gene Owen's friend Joe Reinhardt arrived to the hotel and went to room 1048. 23:15. Joe Reinhardt leaves room 1048 to go home. During the night, Gene Owen noted she heard lots of noise that she believed came from the same floor, consisting largely of men and women talking loudly. January 4, 1935, 0:20. Bellboy Harry Caspier delivered ice to room 1055 where a party was going on. The victim was viewed by Caspier at Undertaker's and confirmed that Ogletree was not at this party. Passing room 1046, he did not notice anything unusual. Between about midnight and 3 o'clock in the morning, elevator operator Charles Blocher took a woman that he recognized as being a woman who frequents the hotel with different men in different rooms. He believed she was, in his words, a commercial woman, which is language of the time for a prostitute. She inquired on room 1026. About 5 minutes after this, Blocher received a signal to come back to the 10th floor. Upon arriving there, he met the same woman, and she wondered why the man she was coming to see in room 1026 wasn't in his room. because he had called her and had always been very prompt in his appointments. She wondered if he might be in room 1024, because the light was on in there. She remained on the floor for a period of about 40 to 50 minutes. And Blocher received a signal to go back to the 10th floor. He went there, and the same woman appeared there, came down the elevator with him, and left the elevator at the lobby. Was this man in room 1026 ever tracked down and questioned? About an hour later, Blocher saw the same lady return to the hotel in company with a man, and he took them to the 9th floor. 0400 hours. Dr. H.F. Flanders estimated the injuries occurred approximately 4 o'clock a.m. Night clerk James Haddon saw a woman get off the elevator, whom he recognized as someone being in and out of the hotel at various hours of the night and early mornings. He mentioned he didn't know where she lives, but he could get in touch with her with little trouble, as she hangs out around an intersection he knows of. He did not know which floor she came from. Was this woman ever tracked down and interviewed? It seems that elevator operator Charles Blocher did remember bringing 2 ladies down on the elevator, likely the same woman the night clerk Haddon saw. 0415. Elevator operator Charles Blocher received a signal to go to the 9th floor. The same woman, the commercial woman, came down from the 9th floor and left the hotel. 0429. Elevator operator Blocher, the same man he saw with the commercial woman, came down from the 9th floor, complained he couldn't sleep, and was going out for a while. The description of this man from Blocher was about 5 feet 6 inches tall, slender build, about 135 pounds. He wore a light brown overcoat, brown hat, and brown shoes. The description of the woman was black hair, about 5 feet 6 inches tall, weighing about 135 pounds, wearing a coat of black Hudson seal or imitation. The collar stood up and with a light fur strip on the collar. In his statement, Blocher did say he recognized her as frequenting the hotel. Was the man ever tracked down and questioned? 0430. There was a party going on in room 10005. Registered to a woman, she had a lady guest. They came down the elevator this time, the woman and her lady guest. The woman who registered comes to the hotel quite often. Who were these women, and were they questioned? 0500 to 0600. Elevator operator Blocher brought a man down the elevator between 5 and 6 a.m. who had a Gladstone bag and briefcase as luggage, whom he understood checked out of the hotel. Was this man identified in question? 0525. Bellboy Casepier was delivering papers on the 10th floor. Heard voices of men and women, but could not say what room the voices were coming from. 0655. At 6:55 a.m., hotel switchboard operator Leona Olkus noticed light and buzzer on the telephone was off the hook, and she assumed the guest was requesting telephone service. She plugged in and got no response. Olkus asked bellboy Harry Casepier to check on the phone. He knocked, no answer. The room was dark from looking under the door. 0700. Switchboard operator Olkus requested bell service to go to the room again, and had the guest put the phone back in the hook. She then contacted the bell captain to try. 0705. Bellboy Randolph Porpst was asked by the switchboard operator to check room 1046 for the phone being off the hook. He knocked loudly twice before a voice from inside the room said to come in. Turn the doorknob, but the door was locked. The voice then said, turn on the lights. Porpst kept knocking 7 or 8 times until finally just yelling through the door to put the telephone back in the hook. Nobody in the room responded. A do not disturb sign was hanging on the door. 0710. Switchboard operator Della Ferguson took over the switchboard at 7 o'clock a.m. and noted the telephone was still off the hook at 0710. And asked the bellboy to go tell the person in room 1046, put the phone back in the hook. This seems to refer to bellboy Porpst. 0800. Gene Owen awakens and calls the operator asking what time it was. 08:30, bellboy Harold Pike states that at 8:30 a.m. he went to room 1046 to tell the person in the room to put the telephone back on the hook. Found the door locked from the outside. The do not disturb sign was on the door. Knocked several times with no response. Took the passkey and entered. Saw a man lying on the bed nude. I could hear him breathing heavily. Pike picked up the phone and placed it on the hook. I noticed a dark spot in the sheets he thought was a shadow. He left the room and locked the door, and left the door just as he found it. 08:33. Approximate time the switchboard operator Ferguson noticed the light from room 1046 was off, meaning the phone had been placed back in the hook. This would be bellboy Pike hanging up the phone. 08:38. Switchboard operator Ferguson notes the light for room 1046 was on again, indicating that the receiver had again been removed from the hook. 08:40. Switchboard operator Ferguson tried to attract the attention of the guest in room 1046 by working the ringing apparatus, which, when the receiver is off the hook, makes a noise that can be heard all over the room, but got no response. 0900. Jean Owen makes a phone call to her friend Joe Reinhardt before heading to the President Hotel drugstore for breakfast. 10 o'clock. Jean Owen goes to the telephone booth of the President Hotel and calls a different number, that of Mr. Gordon White. 11:03. The switchboard operator called and asked bellboy Porps to go back to room 1046. Tell the man to put the telephone back on the hook once again. A do not disturb sign was still on. Knocked 3 times but got no response. He then used his passkey to enter the room and discovered the victim within 2 feet of the door, on his knees and elbows, holding his head in his hands and blood in his head. Turned the lights on, saw blood everywhere in the room, went downstairs and informed assistant manager Mr. Weaver. Porps then went up to the room with Mr. Weaver and Mr. Turrell, possibly Terrell, the hotel manager. We found the man against the door, and they could not open the door. 11:20. Pike, Dr. Flanders, and assistant manager Mr. Weaver went to room 1046. The door was locked. Weaver unlocked the door. 11:30. Jean Owen calls the desk clerk from room 1048, asking if there was a message in her box, and was told no. A few minutes later, the desk clerk called and said there was a message. A Western Union messenger came to her room with the message. She signed for it. There's a lot of questions in there. Thank you for joining me in this episode of Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast. If you have any ideas or further questions, please share them with us in the comments. Subscribe now to Ontario Cold Cases and help solve the secrets of room 1046, because every case deserves answers and every victim deserves justice. Episodes available wherever you get your podcasts.